Your Excellency, Hassan Hamid, Minister of Community Participation, Your Excellencies, Your Highnesses, dear audience, thank you very much for inviting on behalf of our Director General, Dr. Tedros, and our Regional Director, Dr. Ahmed Al-Mandari, WHO, to this important event. Of course, you know, from the title you can always say, okay, what's WHO is doing here regarding tourism. However, part of our conviction is that all sectors will influence health, well-being in general, and we need to act and support each other in many ways. And in this respect, of course, as we mentioned earlier, the issue of disabilities, or as you mentioned here, people with determination, is a public health concern, and hence our contribution to this event. And our slight focus on the health aspects in a technical way. I apologize that I'm speaking in English because of the terminology, and I hope that I'm not speaking too fast, but I want to make sure that I speak within the time allocated to me. As you know, we estimate that roughly 15% of the world's population has one way or another some form of disability, or experience at some point in time some disability, which means that if we look at it broadly, at some point in time, this number may be bigger or smaller depending on the context. And as we know, with aging, the world population is going to double for those people who are above 60. So one way or another, each one of us will have or will experience some form of disability or dysfunction at some point in time. And hence the importance of making sure that we have proper programs and proper plans. Chronic conditions are increasing, and they are cause for premature death, but also for substantial disability, as we all know. Rehabilitation is important. It's important for well-being. It's important for, as you mentioned, for all our continuous contribution to the community. And hence, we need to have both community and facility-based rehabilitation set up for a wide range of conditions in many ways, and making sure that we have access to those rehabilitation services. Very briefly, our current program of work, which we call GPW 13, has aimed to target for 3 billion. First billion is 1 billion more people who would have access to health services, and that includes also all the rehabilitation-based, all the community-based activities, and all the preventive services, in fact, for a range of conditions, especially what we call the non-communicable diseases, diabetes, cancer, and cardiovascular, stroke as well. And 1 billion more people made safer in emergency conditions or facing outbreaks, and making sure that they have also access to services, and that's very important, especially in our region. And 1 billion more people whose lives are improved, and this is a new concept, more or less, where we want to work with all the sectors, with all the policy makers, in all a wide range of interventions that act on the determinants of health as well as on the risks. So if we talk about working with tourism, working with the transport section, with the energy, with the water and sanitation, this is about making sure that we influence health conditions upscale before anyway we have a health disease or a health condition, and we make sure also that the contribution of those sectors to the well-being and to the health, including, for example, work, employment, and so on, are also made the life of people better. This is the 3rd billion, as we call them, and where we work on the determinants, on the risk factors, and on the healthy settings and health in all policies. And this is why, because of this new shift and our increased focus on partnerships and working with all that are concerned, I am here. As you know, this is not an easy, usually place for WHO to be there, especially with a lot of private sector. However, it is important that we also pass on the message that we are working with everyone, and we would like to make sure that we join forces to improve health everywhere. The disability agenda of WHO was set in 2014, and we will revise it soon for 2021, and has 3 objectives. The first one is to remove the barriers and to improve the access to health services and programs, and this is purely health. The second is to strengthen and extend rehabilitation, assistive technology, assistance and support services, and community-based rehabilitation. And I will touch on that in a very quick way soon. And to strengthen collection of relevant and international comparable data on disability, and make sure that this data support research, support evidence-based and policy making, and make sure that we learn and we probably also innovate. And I commend, of course, UAE and Dubai for many of those innovative policies and innovative plans, and I'll summarize in a little bit how that. Of course, the model that we use is more a biosocial model, and we have also evolved it to take it through the life course. That means from the child to the elderly person, and going through the conditions that can create disabilities, how the person reacts, how the activity is affected, how the capacity to react, and how much participation regarding the facilitated environment for that disability is made possible. So it is an interaction. It's not only a disability as a condition, as a medical condition. And we look at it in a life course with a potential of range where people may have disability at any time, in any type of health condition or impairment. My putting glasses is part of a disability that will increase with age. It is part of what I may face as an individual. And of course, there are more severe conditions. There are more important areas where we need to work even and enhance more the facilitation than just the glasses, for example. We look at physical, sensory, cognitive, as mentioned earlier by our colleagues in Jordan about the mental conditions and, of course, advanced cognitive problems, as well as chronic conditions, stroke, diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases. The Model Disability Survey was conducted in Dubai in 2018, and we have now a lot of data. It is being analyzed. It is being, if you want, looked at and compared to the previous policies and current plans in order to make sure that a range of plans and programs are taking advantage of the information that's collected. The data will allow to look at the social or inclusion policies, to employment policies, empowerment policies, the health system and the health facility, and we have heard from the Dubai Health Authority what is being made available and facilitated, to education, to the well-being, as well as to disability strategy and action plan, and also the tourism sector, which is very advanced in this way, will facilitate a lot of the changes and accessibility aspects to the disabled or to the people with determination. We have, in the regional office, worked on several areas regarding the disability aspects, and we're working on mainly making sure that we have access to assistive technology for the people with disabilities. So we have a resolution, we have a regional framework. We are looking for data and conducting surveys and making sure that from those surveys national plans are developed. So the resolution looked at the policy, the financing, the provision, the products, and the people, the personnel, the people who would need to work on making sure that this assistive technology is made available. Assistive technology is a subset of health technology. It looked at all the products, the system, the services to maintain or improve functioning, thereby promoting well-being. It looked at a variety of, for example, tools and products from a different set of, for a different set of conditions. We have challenges. First, we don't have everywhere national policies and programs. And I, again, commend UAE and Dubai for including those in their plans. Especially in many countries, rehabilitation services are not well developed. We have also inability to properly assess the needs and provide services. So the data collection is a problem in many countries. So looking at how we, for example, hopefully from the model disability survey that we have in Dubai, how we take that forward to also to other countries and to make sure that we have more information on the needs and on the conditions and what works, what doesn't work. We have proxy measures, so we know what the market is. We look at disabilities, over 97 million people, and we look at aging population. We have a high diabetes prevalence in the region, so we look at what would be needed for that part of the population. And we have injuries, and I have to mention here that in our region, road traffic accidents are the second high cause of disabilities. And it's important to look at how we also work on the prevention aspects. We have also emergency situations, whether it's earthquakes or conflicts, creating also a lot of needs in the region. And we have, in many countries, still inadequate rehabilitation services and no skilled personnel. And the community, the families, need to be also capacitated and empowered to help people with disabilities. So we do have a global program of assistance, which we call GATE, Global Cooperation on Assistive Technology, which look at the 4 main aspects of policy, product, provision, and personnel. And of course, not all countries have enough capacities in this respect, but it's looking at how we can support each other. Accessible environments are beneficial to everybody. So if through tourism we make sure that accessible environments are increased, people are empowered, and their well-being improved, then it's also better for health, and so that's why we encourage. And this is an example from Queen Elizabeth London Olympic Park in 2010, before and after the Olympics, and making sure that taking opportunities, seizing those opportunities to improve the available facilities for everybody is important. Including planning, for example, this is East London also, before and after the Olympics, and making sure that we use every potential plan or program to improve accessibility. Access is urgent. We know that we have so many of those events coming up in Dubai and in UAE, and we would like to encourage that other countries follow your steps. Thank you very much.